Hello. So I suppose is inevitable that I would kind of talk about this subject at some point. So here it goes. Upon discovering that I was placed in Jeju and doing a little bit of research, I discovered that Jeju is home to what was referred to as a sex theme park known as Loveland. Um, this was very exciting, and I saw it as some sort of destiny or perhaps divine intervention telling me that I was on the right path in life. Um, so, for those who don't know me and think that that statement is a lot weird, in university I studied psychology, and my main research interest in psychology was human sexuality. Now, I suppose that doesn't make me sound any less strange, but I guess it provides some justification for the idea that this interest is more than just purely recreational, I guess. Um, Anyways, it turns out that Jeju is home to not just one, but three sex theme parks. Now, I've been to two of these parks, Loveland and the Museum of Sex and Health, and here are some pictures from both of the places that I'll show you really, really quickly. If you really, really want to see these pictures, you can pause and stop. So, I haven't visited the third place, despite my interest in this topic, because, well, I sort of see these parks, as something new to try, a novelty. But I feel like once you've seen one statue of giant breasts or a man with a wolf for a penis, you've kind of seen them all. It gets old. But I feel like these parks are great for the novelty of the experience. If you go with a group of friends and you can have a little bit of fun. And it's interesting laughing at, I guess, the bizarreness of it all. But I feel like it wears off pretty quickly, and the appeal of coming a second time to the park is not as good, I think, as coming the first time. So a lot of people wonder why these parks exist. Well, one big reason is that only a few decades ago, South Koreans needed special permission to leave Korea, and therefore couples who wished to honeymoon away from their parents' houses or a love motel would usually travel to Jeju, as it's scenic and warmer than the rest of the country, and therefore super romantic. Thus, Jeju began role-playing honeymoon destination for newlywed couples in Korea. Thus, as a result of this reputation, decades later, several sex theme parks were erected in this concept's honor, I suppose. So I think that these sex theme parks are kind of here to either impregnate the brain with some sexual knowledge, or perhaps to fill the mind, engorge the mind with thoughts of sexy fun times, and kind of get those newlywed honeymoon fires burning. At least these were the explanations I found while searching online a little bit, but I think there's a bit more to it. I think this explanation lacks something. It's incomplete. If the sole reason behind these theme parks, these sex theme parks' existence, was the fact that Jeju is a honeymoon destination, then where is Hawaii's park of giant dick statues? Really now. So my explanation is a little different. I can't really speak to the levels of sex education in Korea because I did not go to high school here, or school at all. But I know that South Korea is typically considered to be a moderately to pretty fairly conservative society. I feel like sex isn't discussed as openly as I was used to in Canada. I do know that there is a seemingly stringent separation of the sexes in society. Easier way to say that without the alliteration is that boys are friends with boys and girls are friends with girls. And exceptions to this rule seem to be pretty rare in society. For example, in my experience, when my students see me out in public with a girl, they assume when they see me the next time that they tell me that, oh, that we saw you with your girlfriend, as if a boy and a girl can't be friends without some sort of romantic relationship between them, and that boys and girls can be friends is kind of mind-blowing or outrageous to them. So it seems to me that discussion of sex is a little under the table or taboo in Korea. But given that we are all human and that sex is a really, really strong human drive, I would argue it's one of the strongest human drives, second perhaps only to survival. And given that sex and survival are pretty intricately linked, I would say that sex comes in an incredibly close second for strongest human drive. So because sex is such a fundamental aspect of most people's lives, or the human experience, when society tries to sweep sex under the rug or tuck it between its legs and pretend like it doesn't exist, I think it bubbles to the surface. You can see examples of this all over the place. It's like how in conservative areas in America, where abstinence-only sex education is taught, and a reefer madness style fear-mongering stating that sex, the only outcome of sex is pregnancy, chlamydia, or eternal damnation, and usually all three. These areas where abstinence is put on a pedestal in order to suppress teen sexuality are burgeoning, are full, out of control with teen pregnancy. It fails to work, is what I'm trying to get at. I think the same phenomenon accounts for the scandals with the Catholic Church, where people with pedophilic urges join the clergy in an attempt to live a life of self-imposed celibacy in order to never ever act on these urges, because that would be unthinkable. But once again, after years and years of denying these urges, they bubble to the surface and you get these scandals. I think you can only deny desires for so long before they overtake you. So in so many cases where we deny a strong urge or drive, eventually I think it bubbles to the surface. And when an entire culture denies such a drive, I think it manifests in odd ways. So something similar to this would be what Sigmund Freud, the psychologist, called reaction formation. So a common example of reaction formation is when a boy likes a girl, and instead of acting as one normally would when they are in like with someone, the boy reacts by bullying, hitting, or harassing the girl. So reaction formation is acting in a way that is counterintuitive, contrary to the urge that we originally have. So I think that in Korea, where sex tends to be very taboo or off limits for discussion, sex finds a way to the surface in novel ways. Thus, there are sex theme parks, 3 in Jeju, 1 in Gyeongju, and a penis statue park in Samcheok. Why not? So this is just a theory I have. Who knows how accurate it is? But given what I know about people trying to deny integral parts of themselves and how that never ends well, it seems at least somewhat plausible. Yeah. So, thank you for watching.